Imagine this. It's 1923 in Berlin. A man wheels a barrow full of cash to buy a loaf of bread. By the time he reaches the bakery, the price has doubled. He dumps the money on the street. It's worth more as fuel than currency. That wasn't some distant nightmare. It happened. And the scariest part? Our modern money system isn't so different. It only holds together because we all agree to pretend it does. Welcome to the fragile illusion of modern finance. In a world where governments print trillions at a keystroke, and your savings erode quietly each year, why does any of this still work? Because belief is the glue. Lose that, and the whole thing unravels. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on why modern money demands your faith, and what happens if you withdraw it. Let's start at the beginning. Money wasn't always this abstract. Picture early humans trading shells for tools, or farmers swapping grain for livestock. It was tangible. You could touch it, weigh it, trust it because it had inherent value. Then came gold, shiny, rare, durable. Civilizations built empires on it. The Romans minted coins from precious metals. The British pound was once literally a pound of sterling silver. But gold has limits. It's heavy, hard to divide. And when economies grow, you can't just mine more overnight. Enter paper. At first it represented gold in a vault somewhere. A promise. Hand over this note, get the real thing. Governments loved it, easier to carry, simpler to tax. But promises are only as good as the trust behind them. Fast forward to the 20th century. World wars drained treasuries. Nations needed cash fast. The U.S. dollar became the world's anchor after World War II, backed by gold at $35 an ounce. It was the Bretton Woods system, a global pact where other currencies pegged to the dollar and the dollar to gold. Stability reigned. Trade boomed, but cracks appeared. By the late 1960s, America was spending big. Vietnam War, Great Society programs, dollars flooded the world. Foreign governments, smelling trouble, started cashing in for gold. U.S. reserves dwindled. On August 15, 1971, President Nixon made a quiet announcement on TV. No fanfare, just a calm declaration. The gold window is closed. No more converting dollars to bullion. Overnight, the dollar became fiat, Latin for let it be done, backed by nothing but government decree. Here's where it gets interesting. Fiat money isn't new. China tried it in the 11th century with paper notes. It collapsed in inflation. But in 1971, the world bet on America's stability, and it worked. Why? Collective belief. We all agreed this green paper, or digital blip, had value. Governments enforce it through laws, pay taxes in dollars, or else. Banks lend it. Businesses accept it. You spend it on coffee without a second thought. But how does this system actually function day to day? Let's break it down simply. Imagine a bank. You deposit $100. The bank doesn't lock it away. Thanks to fractional reserve banking, a rule set by central banks like the Federal Reserve, they keep maybe 10% on hand. The rest? They lend out. To a business, say, which buys equipment, pays workers. Those workers deposit their paychecks. The bank lends again. From your original $100, suddenly there's $900 in circulation. Magic? No, debt creation. Central banks oversee this. The Fed, for instance, they set interest rates, buy bonds, print money, quantitative easing they call it. In 2008, during the financial crisis, the Fed's balance sheet was about $800 billion. By 2022, after COVID stimulus, over $8 trillion. They created money from thin air, not by cranking presses, but by crediting accounts digitally. Poof! Now the uncomfortable math. Money supply isn't fixed. It expands with debt. Every dollar in your pocket likely started as a loan. Governments borrow by issuing bonds. Banks buy them with created money. The cycle spins. But growth demands more debt. U.S. national debt hit $1 trillion in 1981. Today, over $35 trillion. That's $100,000 per citizen. And it's climbing. Inflation is the silent tax. Central banks target 2% a year. Sounds mild, but compound it. Over 30 years, your dollar buys half as much. In 1971, a new car cost $3,500. Today, $35,000. Wages rose, sure, but not always in step. The system erodes wealth quietly, rewarding debtors, punishing savers. Ironic, isn't it? The very tool meant to stabilize economies builds in its own decay. We hear the hype constantly. Politicians promise sound money. The economy is strong. Inflation is transitory. Central bankers in suits assure us, trust the models, but reality bites. Remember 2022? Inflation spiked to 9% in the U.S. Supply chains snapped. Energy costs soared. Suddenly, eggs cost double. It wasn't transitory. It was a reminder. This system is vulnerable. Contrast that with the sales pitch. Crypto boosters hype Bitcoin as digital gold, limited supply, no central control. But even that's faith-based. Its value swings on sentiment. Gold bugs hoard bars, betting on collapse. Yet fiat endures. Why? Network effects. Everyone uses it. Try paying rent in gold nuggets. Awkward. But zoom out. The stakes are escalating. Global debt tops $300 trillion, 3 times world GDP. What if belief phrase? History whispers warnings. Weimar Germany, 1923. War reparations triggered hyperinflation. A loaf of bread cost 200 billion marks. People burned cash for heat. Zimbabwe, 2008. Printed money to pay bills. Inflation hit 89 sextillion %. Venezuela, recent years. Oil prices tanked. Government printed bolivars. Currency worthless. Families scavenging landfills. It's not just poor countries. Japan teeters with debt at 250% of GDP. Europe grapples with Eurozone fractures. And the U.S.? Political gridlock over debt ceilings. Each showdown risks default. If investors balk, say, well, China dumps treasuries, the dollar could wobble. Interest rates spike. Recession hits. Pensions evaporate. Absurdity creeps in. We digitize everything. Stocks, bonds, even art as NFTs. Yet money remains a shared delusion. Philosopher Yuval Harari calls it a myth. Banks create wealth from keystrokes, but if panic strikes, a cyber attack, a pandemic worse than COVID, runs on banks could turn digital. ATMs empty, cards declined, society grinds, tension builds globally, geopolitical shifts, Russia and China hoard gold, push de-dollarization, BRICS nations talk alternative currencies, crypto lurks as a hedge, but fiat's grip is tight. It funds wars, welfare, innovation. Without it, chaos. With it, slow erosion. So here's the thought that lingers. Modern money works because we keep believing. Governments, banks, you, me, we're all in on the act. But what if the audience starts doubting the script? What if inflation surges unchecked, or a black swan event shatters confidence? Do we double down on faith or seek something real? The system hums along for now, but remember Berlin, 1923. Belief is powerful until it isn't.